What up, me wazards? It's Heavy D from Mtg down there, you know by now, all the things. And today, I'm going to dish on some more Modern Horizon spoilers for you. And boy, let me tell you, some of these cards are just super hype today. Like, we saw some drafty stuff, yeah, a couple of things. But, for the most part, a lot of today's cards are just like off the wall. Like, set is looking like a peach already, and we've only seen like 20% of it. Like, this is a super hype set, just based around some of the stuff we've seen in the last 2 days. So let's go ahead and get to it. Well, first of all, real quick, Dismantling Blow is back from Invasion Block to be like, hey, bruh, I exist. Remember me? Here's Dismantling Blow. 3 mana, 2 and a white for an instant with kicker, 2 and a blue. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. If the spell was kicked, draw 2 cards. You probably read Dismantling Blow, but it's also super likely you entirely forgot this card was ever a card. But here it is. It's back in Modern Horizons to do like limited work. As is, well, it's not back. It's a brand new card, and it's probably, just in terms of flavor and like design, one of my favorite cards of the day, but it's also kind of a garbage card that'll only see play in limited. So here is Chiller Pillar. Love Chiller Pillar, man. 4 mana, 3 and a blue for a 3/3 snow insect. And you can pay 4 and 2 snow lands worth of mana to Monstrosity 2. As long as Chiller Pillar is monstrous, it's got it a flying. So you can just make it into a Chiller Fly, you know? So that's, again, this is barely worth reading, honestly. Like, if it weren't for how awesomely on point the flavor is here, I wouldn't even bother showing you this card. But man, Chiller Pillar, this card is all name. This card is all name, and I'm down for that. We also got to see Scour All Possibilities today. This is 2 mana, 1 and a blue for sorcery. Scry 2, then draw a card. And then you pay 4 and blue if you want to flash the dang thing back. So I like how they're just jamming multiple mechanics together on different cards now. Like, Chiller Pillar is the snow mechanic and the monstrous mechanic. And Scour All Possibilities is flashback and scry. It's just like they're coupling mechanics in interesting ways, and I like that. But you know, this is 1 mana more than Preordain. I don't care for that. And it's also, it's like Think Twice and Preordain had a baby. And it kind of took all the worst things. Like, it took the 2 mana cost of Think Twice. That kind of sucks. But it took the sorcery speed of Preordain, and that really sucks. So I'm not sure how good this card is outside of limited play, but it's probably going to be a really important common for limited. Oh, and by the way, Fog Frog is back as well, if you didn't catch that. Spore Frog, showing his ugly mug again. This is actually like the cutest, one of my favorite frogs ever printed in the game of Magic. It's like this and Gitrog, y'all. Love. I actually have some nostalgic memories of Spore Frog, and for what it's worth, it was getting up there. It was like $3, you know, just a couple of days ago for like a common from like Prophecy? What is this card from? Go. Nailed it, by the way. Just checked between takes. It is from Prophecy. Proud of myself. Anyway, Spore Frog is really, really cool, and I've actually seen a bunch of people like jumping up and down about this card being in this set. So if you're excited for Spore Frog, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Spore Frog's awesome, but there's another 1 green mana creature that returned today that I'm like equally, if not more, excited for, and that's Nimble Mongoose, man. Nimble Mongoose is my boy. This is just 1 green mana for a 1/1 Mongoose with Shroud. That's the version of Hexproof where nobody can target the darn thing. And Nimble Mongoose gets +2/+2 as long as 7 or more cards are in your graveyard. So it's also got Threshold. Again, they're just jamming abilities together. But Nimble Mongoose is an old favorite we all know and love. Nimble Mongoose. I like that we're seeing cards from this era of Magic get reprinted into Modern. I think that's really, really nice. You know, Nimble Mongoose from Odyssey. It's not going to break Modern or anything, but it might get tested in a couple of decks. Spore Frog from Prophecy, very same thing. Like, this is not a broken era of Magic. As a matter of fact, it's an era of Magic where they're trying to be a little bit careful, you know, like between Urza's block and Mirrodin. We saw a lot of careful design in Magic, and I don't think it's going to break Modern to see some of these cards. Like, obviously, Dismantling Blow from Invasion isn't going to break anything, so it's just cool to see this like few year period getting a little bit of love and getting printed into Modern. But I'll finish up the cards I don't show my face for with Pondering Mage here. This is 5 mana, 3 and 2 blue for a 3/4 human wizard. When Pondering Mage enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order. You may shuffle your library, draw a card. So you literally just get to cast Ponder. And the art is a cool callback to Ponder too, which I think is really nice. But this is nice because it's common. Like, I'm not sure this sees much play in Pauper. You know, 5 mana is an awful lot for this, but you get a really decent body and a great enter the battlefield trigger. Like, this is really good. I'm not sure that altogether it's worth 5 mana. It's a really steep cost on this, but a format like Pauper might be able to take advantage of something like this, and obviously, I shouldn't have to tell you, in Modern Horizons Limited, this is just amazing. You know, this is a great 5 mana creature, so I like a lot about this. I don't think it really sees too much play outside of the couple of formats that I've mentioned, but I'm really interested to see if it can actually do anything in Pauper, even though that format is maybe a little bit too fast for this, but it's still a really good value creature with a bigger body than you usually see on something like this, and a decent creature type, so I'm kind of all in for it. Again, I don't know how much work it's actually going to end up doing, but it's a really nicely designed card. Okay, but let's get a little bit more hype here. You know, I mentioned Urza's block a second ago as sort of the starting point for, oh god, this is way too broken. And they actually sort of sideways printed one of the most famous cards from Urza's block. This is Giver of Runes. This is just 1 white mana for a 1/2 core cleric, and you can tap it to have another target creature you control gain protection from colorless or from the color of your choice until end of turn. Alright, so this isn't quite Dear Old Mom, but it's really, really close. And it does something Mother of Runes doesn't do, you know? The protection from colorless is actually pretty relevant in Modern right now. I shouldn't have to tell you, there's a lot going on with Tron, and with the Eldrazi, and with all the stupid colorless garbage Karns and whatnot in Modern. Like, having protection from colorless is actually a pretty big deal, you know, just for like staving off random artifact jank too. So there's a lot of stuff that this ability works with. It's good in like singleton formats for giving you a little bit of like, you know, parity with Mother of Runes. Things like Commander, you effectively get to play 2 Mother of Runes in your deck, but this one can't protect itself, which kind of sucks. That comes up an awful lot with Mom. And you know, you can't hit creatures you don't control, which isn't as big of a deal because that's extremely an edge case most of the time. But, you know, you play it in like a diplomatic way. But, you know, not having that option on this card isn't that big of a deal at all, you know. Worst thing about it is that it can't protect itself, but I'll totally forgive that. The extra point of toughness is pretty sweet too, you know. The difference between 1 and 2 toughness is actually fairly huge some of the time. So, like, Giver is super pushed looking to me. This isn't a better Mother of Runes by any stretch of the imagination. I think, again, especially the fact it can't target itself, like, really drags down some of the playability, but in a lot of scenarios, this is going to be a better Mom, and that's just insane that they would print that into Modern, so I can't wait to see what this does, because it's probably going to do something. But up next, y'all, here's a card that I am super hype for. I can't even tell you. Here's Astral Drift, which sounds like something you'd hear on Initial D, but it's actually a sideways, in a lot of ways, better version of Astral Slide. And it kind of sucks that we can't say, like, we can't make it a dance anymore. Do the Astral Slide when you cycle stuff, but I'll take Astral Drift all day. We will drift down the mountain road with Astral Drift. It's just 3 mana, 2 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever you cycle Astral Drift or cycle another card while Drift is on the battlefield, you may exile target creature. If you do, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. And you can cycle this for its casting cost, 2 and a white. My goodness. I know I've already kind of given away like how excited I am, how in love I am with this card, but just to reiterate, holy butt balls. It's just crazy to have Slide. I'm not sure like how good Drift is going to be in Modern all told, but like, man, dude, the things that we used to do with this back in the day. Astral Slide plus Eternal Witness was just the dumbest thing ever, you know. Like, oh, you gotta kill my witness, I'll cycle this thing, you know, basically blink witness, get a card back from the graveyard, maybe it's another Astral Slide or a witness you actually killed earlier. Let's just say all the things with Slide and Witness are just so broken. But now we have an Astral Slide that can just cycle to do the thing it does anyway. So at instant speed you can cycle Astral Drift to like remove a creature from combat until end of turn or something, you know, basically Maze of It something until end of turn, and that's always great. Or you can obviously use it as a blink spell at instant speed to block something and then like save your guy or save your creature from removal, repeat and enter the battlefield trigger. It's just like repeatable blink like this is always like just shy of broken. Just, it's insane how versatile this card is in practice. So I can't wait to get, I'm not ever that excited to like jump into Modern, but like playing Slide again, that'll do it. That, you did it, Wizards. You got me. But okay, let's calm down. I have so much more to say about that card, but I'm gonna do a deck tech eventually. I don't do modern deck techs too much, but I'm gonna have to do one for this for Astral Drift. But anyway, let's bring it down. So let's kind of exhale a little bit with Collected Conjuring, and let's be realistic about this card. This is 4 mana, 2, a blue, and a red for a sorcery. Exile the top 6 cards of your library. You may cast up to 2 sorcery cards with converted mana cost 3 or less from among them without paying their mana costs. Put the exiled cards not cast this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. So could you imagine if this were an instant, if this were actually like Collected Company? I hate that it's only sorceries. Like, I really wish that this could just be instants and sorceries, but apparently that was too broken. I'm sure that there's probably garbage stuff you can do with this, like Ancestral Vision, blah, blah, blah. But as far as sorceries go, like, I'm just not sure. Maybe I'm missing something. I very likely am, because this is the modern format, and it's something I don't jump into very often. So I want to hear your pitches on Collected Conjuring, but to be honest with you, I don't know that a 4-mana sorcery that can get 6 mana worth of value, but will very often, unless you built your deck around like nothing but sorceries, this will very often whiff on at least one. I would imagine, if this just gets you 3 mana worth of value, well, then you've overspent there, haven't you, cowboy? So I'm just not sure that this is great. If it gets you 2 sorceries, that's fantastic, but there's kind of problems that go with that in terms of just deck building. Do you really want to build the 24 sorceries deck? I'm not sure that you do. So maybe, possibly, I could see like maybe a blue-red burn deck or something. trying to play this as like a finishing piece, get 2 skewers and hit you with them or something. Like, there are definitely things that can be done with this, and that much is obvious, but I'm just not sure exactly where you want to go with a card like this. And even if you do have, 20 plus sorceries in your deck, it's not even guaranteed that if you hit both sorceries that you're going to have viable targets for them or anything. So I'm dubious. Like, I feel like this card is dubious, I should say. I'm a little wary is all I'm trying to say, but at the same time, let me just wedge this in here before I get done. Let me just kind of slide this commentary in. I think that this is obviously also breakable, right? And it really depends on what sorceries we see printed in the next, as long as Magic exists. Like, if there's nothing that breaks this right now, there might be something that breaks this as soon as like next year. So you never know. It's a card you want to keep your eye on as long as it exists, because 4 mana for 6 mana worth of value seems like a pretty good deal. Especially if you can cast this a little earlier in the game than on schedule. If you can get this on turn 3, I bet you can do some pretty cool stuff with it. But at the same time, we'll have to wait on this one. One more thing I will say about this before I get out of here is that maybe Arclight Phoenix. Maybe Arclight Phoenix, but again, like super unlikely. Like a one of in Arclight, because you cast this and you cast 2 sorceries on it. Well, look at that. Call. You get your Phoenixes back. So that might be cool, but again, really doubtful. This is 4 mana is kind of expensive for something that will not very likely whiff, but very likely whiff on at least one. So again, dubious but breakable. It's obvious that I'm just getting more keyed up as this video goes on. I'm sorry for shouting at you, but anyway, let's bring it down a little bit more. And again, let's try and be realistic with Lightning Skelemental. Really cool name for a card, but it is, as been pointed out a billion times in the community already. Again, I get to these kind of late sometimes. This is just Bulb Lightning. They just threw the 2 cards together. It's a black and 2 red for Skeleton Elemental. It's a 6/1 with Trample and Haste, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player discards 2 cards. At the beginning of the end step, you sacrifice Lightning Skelemental. Alright, so the fun haps with this is Team or Battle Rage. Like, that's it's hilarious. But that does cost like 5 mana, so I'm not sure you want to do that. Getting this on turn 3 isn't even a guarantee that it's going to spill over for damage. Death Shadows in the format. There's all kinds of instant speed removal. It might just get like Path to Exiled or something. It's not like a guarantee or anything, but it's still a pretty good play. Ball Lightning that actually does a thing other than just like be a burn spell. Like, that's all ball lightning really is burn in the end. You know, it's kind of how you're playing it. But a ball lightning that does way more than that is awesome. Like, this is a straight up 2-for-1 if it gets in for any damage, and it very likely will. Like, I've heard of the Death Shadow take like all day. Like, oh, what if they have Death Shadow? Okay, what if they have literally anything else? What if, you know, like, what if they don't have Death Shadow? What if you're not playing against Death Shadow? So in almost any other situation, the card looks pretty decent, although it is susceptible to instant speed removal, counter spells, whatever, but so is nearly every card. So I'm just not sure if that's a great argument. Basically dies to removal and counter spells. Yeah, that's probably bad. But I will say, as basically a better ball lightning, yeah, I'd like to try this thing out an awful lot. If only, like, not even in modern, but other formats. Like, I actually think this might have a teeny tiny shot in vintage, but I'm almost always wrong about vintage analysis. You know? So don't take my word for it. But at the same time, there's just so much to like about this because we all love ball lightning, right? I thought we did. Like, it's one of my favorite cards of all time. It's probably in my top 100 cards of all time. So sitting here looking at what is, for all intents and purposes, a much better ball lightning, you know, if it actually gets in for damage, it just wrecks. It just completely wrecks your opponent. So this is a good Magic card. But you know what else? It's a good Magic card and maybe the best card of the day. No joke, this card is absolutely absurd. This is Force of Despair, everybody. Introducing Force of Despair to your life forever. It's an instant. It costs 1 and 2 black. And if it's not your turn, you can exile a black card from your hand rather than pay for Force of Despair's mana cost. Just destroy all creatures that entered the battlefield this turn. Just do that. First of all, I hope Wizards is paying Seb McKinnon well, because just like piece after piece of ridiculous art, like Giver of Runes back there, that was old Seb. You know, like, he's just really putting in all the work. But hey, let's talk about how ridiculous the card is. This card is crazy. This card is just crazy. Like, it's just free removal against, even if you use it as a 1-for-1, it is free removal against any creature. Actually, in that case, I guess it's a 2-for-1 because you exile a card from your hand and you get rid of this. And you only get rid of one of their things. So you're kind of 2-for-1ing yourself in that situation. But it's a 2-for-1 out of your hand. It's a little bit different. If you have like a swamp or just a land to give up, or a card that's just situationally not good right now, like, you will not worry about pitching a card to this. It's almost always, you know, definitely a downside, but not really something you sweat very much if that means you get to take out that Death Shadow or that Gristlebrand or whatever, you know. This card is definitely playable in multiple formats, vintage all day, and I feel a lot more comfortable making that claim than I did about, you know, Ball Lightning back there a second ago. This is obviously vintage playable as far as I'm concerned, and beyond. You know, Modern is gonna love a card like this. You know, not only is this obvious, like, I should just say that this nerfs like token strategies and stuff that want to play like Secure the Wastes and like Finale of whatever the white finale is. I'm sorry. And War of the Spark. Just haven't seen it played too much. But in any case, like, any token strategy that looks to like swing big and put, you know, a bunch of creatures out all at one time, even Elves does that. There are a ton of modern decks, you know, that just put multiple creatures on the battlefield all at one time, courtesy of one big spell. Even like Collected Company, this nerfs pretty well, and in that case, you're not 2-for-1ing yourself, you know. Like, this fights Collected Company really well. And if they ever unban Splinter Twin, this is a great tool against it too. So this is just an obviously day one modern playable card that's going to be in stuff, and it's just, my goodness. My goodness, this might be one of the best removal pieces I have ever seen in my life, and I don't think I'm making an overstatement. Oh, but you want to see hype? You guys have not seen hype yet. Wait, you gotta wait for it. I'm so sorry. Urza, Lord High Artificer. Oh my god, it's 4 mana, 2 and 2 blue. For a legendary human artificer, it's a 1/4, so it's out of bolt range. That's important. When Urza, Lord High Artificer, enters the battlefield, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Tap an untapped artifact you control to add blue to your mana pool. Or you can also pay 5 and shuffle your library, then exile the top card. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. Alright, now here's a commander. This, oh my god. And I actually do think that it might be modern playable. I've seen a lot of people kind of dunking on it all day for like, I don't think this is gonna see play, and like, I don't know about that, guys. Like, I really don't. Like, again, requisite, this is a ridiculously dumb commander comment. You know, I gotta really drive that home. This is one of the coolest commanders I've ever seen, but in the actual, like, competitive, constructed, modern format, I think this has a lot going for it. First of all, it's going to bring in 2 creatures when it enters the battlefield, and the second creature is going to be at least a 1/1, so you get 2/5 worth of stats. Not great for 4 mana or anything, especially in Modern. You really got to be insane in Modern to be a playable 4 mana card, but this, I think, again, definitely hits that mark. Not only do you get the 2 creatures, but it's very likely you're going to bring way more power and toughness and stats onto the battlefield if you've just played a couple of more artifacts in the last couple of turns, and that's not really too hard to do. Plus the ability to just jack mana out of nowhere, like, you know, the amount of ramp this gives you is crazy, and you don't even really have to wait until you untap, you know. First of all, the way the ability's worded, you can just tap the construct the turn that it hits the battlefield for a blue mana, so in that way Urza has effectively only cost you 3 mana. But if you've got a couple of other artifacts out that aren't mana rocks that you tapped for it in the first place, right, then you can just tap those for more mana if you want to and just explode onto the board. If you play artifacts, you know, by tapping your artifacts, you can then tap those artifacts for more mana and play more stuff. It's just absolutely insane. And by a couple of turns, if you do untap with this in play, if you actually get there, then yeah, you should be able to use his ability at least once. And you might just spin up an island or something. But the fact that you can use this ability at any time, you can use this at instant speed, EOT, during combat, block with Urza, do his ability. There's just so much about this card that isn't broken or anything. I think it's actually incredibly well designed. And I'm glad that after, you know, more than a quarter of a century of this game existing, we finally got a real, like, unset Urza card, and I actually think they really did do him justice. They obviously wanted to push the card to playability, and even though it's only going to be playable in specific decks, I think there are more than enough ways to break this card, like, wide open. So seriously, the card just does too much and is good in too many different situations. And again, you don't even have to untap with it in play to be able to start breaking it. Just all of those things come together to form a stew that is just delicious. So I think this card has definitely potential to go a long way, and it's out of bolt range, you know. Even if they do kill it, it leaves a body on the battlefield. You can tap artifacts for mana in response to them targeting Urza. You can use his ability in response to them targeting him. It's just, I'm telling y'all, this has all the hallmarks of a really crazy Magic card, and I'm sure that there's just like someone out there who's already broken this, and we'll see soon enough, because this card just looks like nothing but straight business. But wait, we're actually not quite done yet, because I got to preview maybe the other best card of the day, and it's actually a cycle. And that is these enemy-colored Horizon Canopies. We might get an entire cycle of these. I really hope that we do. Just every, you know, enemy color, allied color, we see Horizon Canopy reprinted, all of that. It would just be sweet to get all 10 of these. I hope we do. I don't see why we wouldn't. But in any case, it's just super sweet to have these. These are just, Horizon Canopy is played a lot in like monocolored decks and stuff. You know, like if you can play Horizon Canopy, you play Horizon Canopy, because it turns out the ability to sack a land and draw a card is just ridiculous in the late game, you know. When you've already got 8, 9 mana, games do tend to go long. This is Magic. Then the ability to just get rid of a resource you don't need anymore to draw something you very likely do need is just, crazy. It's been crazy since Horizon Canopy came out, and there's a reason Horizon Canopy is one of the most played lands like in all of Magic. It really is. Look it up. So like, it's just crazy that we're probably, I hope that we're getting Horizon Canopy in every color pair. And even if we only get them in the enemy color pairs that we saw today, then that's good enough, I would say. These are just intensely playable cards. Like Burn might actually end up playing the red ones, you know. Was it Sunbaked something or other? I'm going to get these right. Sunbaked Canyon and Fiery Islet. I think that's correct. But anyway, Burn might play those, you know. Now Blue decks have a way to draw cards off of their lands, you know, that doesn't cost a billion mana, you know? So I just think there are so many implications for these lands being in the modern format at all, and it's just insane that we got these. They're good in Commander, obviously, just like, yes, Yes, these are going to be some of the best, like some of the most chased cards from this entire set. You know, we all love seeing new duels, and even though we didn't get like the snow duels that we wanted, that was probably a pipe dream. Maybe we still will get them. There's still a 2% chance, but it's highly unlikely. If these are the only duels we get this set, though, I'm pleased. I'm pleased as punch. But that, ladies and gentlemen, all of the Modern Horizon spoilers for the day. There's going to be some more tomorrow, but we're also going to try to squeeze in a deck tech tomorrow. So lots of content coming your way in the next few days. I'm going to try to jump back on Arena and get a few games in soon here, probably the weekend or just after. So if you want to see all of that content or more gameplay or whatever, more spoilers, it's a pretty exciting time to be a Magic player. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Like the video if you enjoyed my dumb face talking about Magic cardboards. And you can also join the Patreon if you really like my dumb face talking about Magic cardboards. Just $1 to get in, and I'll let you vote on what decks and videos you want to see next, and I'll let you know what we're doing 24 hours in advance. $5 gets you a signed card, $10 gets you a signed card, a deck doctor, and your name in the credits. So lots of reasons to be a patron, but just for $1 a month, I'll let you vote and stuff. So that's cool, and you get to support content that you legit enjoy, or at least I hope you do. So do all those things, and check the link in the description to go over to my buddies at TCG Player. They sponsor your boy, so I got full disclosure on that. But also, they're where you're going to get pre-order on this set for the absolute lowest price, and I imagine that pre-orders on this set are going to be blowing up. So get in while you can. Hit the link in the description. But in any event, I'm pretty sure that's it for now. A lot of exciting just garbage today. I'm all smiles ear to ear. So, you know, let me know how you felt down there in the comments section. It's your turn now. And I guess I'll catch you cats later. I'm Deb from the place. Thanks for watching, my wizards. Spread love and be kind.